All right. Good morning, everyone. I guess some people are still out drinking from last night, so I don't blame them. I had a great drinking joke, too. So, welcome. My name is Raj Nijjer. I'm from GoDaddy. As I wrote this initial pitch for Seattle Interactive, as soon as I clicked send, I'm like, I wonder if anybody knows what SaaS really means. And then I saw the hashtag, which was 6SaaS. And I was like, I wonder if anybody knows what 6SaaS really means. So the initial pitch was written up as basically designing software as a service for small businesses. So how many people in here actually work with small businesses directly? Okay, I figured it would be a pretty good correlation. Is it directly or through agencies? How many people work directly with small businesses where they're actually talking to small business owners on a daily basis? Cool. All right. Well, I'm hoping you guys get a ton out of this. Just to give you guys a quick intro, so about me, this is my narcissistic slide. About 9 years at GoDaddy. I've seen definitely a lot of change at GoDaddy. I think when I started, it was about 20, 30 million in revenue. This year, we're probably going to do about 1.3 billion. So yeah, seen a lot. Most of it working with small businesses. So if you think about GoDaddy, the on-ramp for small businesses, where people actually, and I quip that it's actually the birthing center for small businesses and very small businesses because that's where you come get your name. So, we definitely birth a lot of businesses on a given day. I think we do about 50 to 60,000 domain registrations a day, close to 60 million domains under management. So been there a long time, helped launch a lot of product, many successes, a few. I was going to put F-ups there, but somebody edited that for me. And currently working on getting small businesses discovered, get them found, both online and offline. It's a big problem that small business owners have, and ultimately if you ask them what they want, we'll say all these things, but they just want customers. So my job at the current moment is to get them customers. So just a quick intro on small businesses. There's about 27 million small businesses out there. This is data from the SBA. So there's always some people will say 18, some people will say 33. A good round number that I like is about 27 million domestically in U.S. The key thing here is that every year, if you look at how many new businesses start, there's about 6 million businesses that start in the US that are brand new. So there's constant churn happening. There's about 6 million that start and 6 million last year that also died off. So if you think about opportunity as you guys work with small businesses, that's 6 million potential customers that are coming online every year. And when you think of it that way, it also comes down to the fact that they're all in different categories too. Retail being one of the biggest ones, but as you can see, other than mining and agriculture, which is not the most popular category anymore, these are all the businesses that are starting right now. These are the businesses that are probably some of them starting today during the course of the year. So why I wanted to share this with you guys is that as you're working with small businesses and you're focused on an industry or a particular niche of small business, there could be a bigger slice of the pie that you could be attacking that's just coming online that needs to basically get started. They'll need services. They'll need, just everything, right? IT support. They'll need websites, they'll need customer marketing, they'll need digital marketing, offline marketing. So when you really want to work with these guys or girls, you want to obviously attack the biggest segment possible. So just wanted to share this with you guys, make sure that you have an idea of where, which are the biggest categories when they actually start a small business. And when we look at this, I also wanted to break down actually what type of customer the small business owner is. I won't pontificate too much, but one thing I always see when I go to conferences, see ads, see all these different types of marketing materials, and there seems to be a huge focus on Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, and consumers. And there's this huge void in the middle called small business owners that nobody seems to care about. And they'll either try to shoehorn a consumer solution or a Fortune 1000 solution in this void. And I think it's primarily because a lot of folks don't get the small business owner. They just kind of think they're either a consumer that's using Facebook or somebody using SAP, and they're actually neither. So when you really think about who they are, right, and you think about the small business persona, and what it really comes down to is there's about 4 things that I've broken it down to. There's definitely a lot more. We don't have time to go through all these, so I'll tell you that they're very confident people. They're starting out, right? They've left something that they probably had a job. They were working 40, 50, some probably 60 hours a week, and they're extremely confident. The things that I hear when I talk to small business owners is like, I can do this better, right? So that's why they go and take that leap of faith, essentially, is because they know they can do it better, and they want to do it better. And like a restaurant owner, say, go ahead, try my dish, you'll love it, because there's passion there, there's pride there, and you don't necessarily leave a corporate job, a corporate gig, like a lot of these folks do, unless you are confident in what you do and what you can deliver and the service and the product that you actually make. So yeah, they're extremely confident people, and confident, you can slice that down to like pride and passion about what they do. You don't necessarily take that leap of faith unless you know you can do it better than someone else, or you're just tired of not being served the right way. Another thing about them is that they're in control. These folks, they don't like to be told what to do. They're also the ones that don't like to be micromanaged. So a lot of them actually go into this because they want more control. They go because their service is their reputation. It's who they are. Their business card is how they deliver service, how they talk to their customer. And they also realize that one slip up, and you could essentially lose everything you have. You're always one lawsuit away. You're one bad Yelp review away, right? So all these things can happen, and one of the main reasons they leave the comfort of corporate America is because they want to be in control, and they want to feel like they own what they're doing. They certainly don't want to be moving from project to project. There's no glory there. There's no control there. So yeah, one thing about them is they are control freaks. Another thing, boy, they're perfectionists. They like things to be perfect, and again, this goes back to the ownership aspect, the control aspect. They want to do it their way, and they know they'll do it better than anyone else. And I put it up here, like 99.99% is not good enough for them. It has to be 100%. And they want to make sure that if they're working on something, they're doing something, they want to make sure every customer walks away smiling. And it could be a restaurateur, it could be somebody that's service-based business, but when they, in talking to a lot of these folks, they actually go to Yelp and all these other review sites, not to see basically, there's a lot of stuff that we say, right, in marketing and all these other areas that, oh, they need to get Yelp reviews because that's how customers find them, but they actually go there for validation. They go there for validation to see how they're doing, and basically, there's a little bit of vanity involved there too. There's validation and vanity is what they go to Yelp and obviously Google reviews now and Facebook reviews and all these things. But they are the most perfectionist people in the world when it comes to running their small business and making sure everybody walks away happy. This should be like the first thing, but they want freedom, right? So a lot of them leave that comfort because they want to do it their way. They want it to be perfect. They want to be in control, but at the end of the day, they're doing it because they want freedom. And it's funny because freedom is not essentially like going on vacations all day long, but freedom is freedom from being told what to do. It's freedom where they're actually probably working a lot more, but they're enjoying the heck out of it, right? And they're loving it. It's not, there's the picture of a motorcycle, but they're probably going to work, right, to run their small business. So it's, everybody always says like, I want to own a business because I want to have time, and those people will never start a small business. because it's not about having more time, it's about giving basically everything you have and doing it your way. But you choose your hours, albeit they're probably long hours, but you get up and you say, I'm going to go run my business today because I have the freedom to do that. So it's very interesting because they end up working a lot more, but they view that as freedom. And they choose to work for themselves. Ultimately, they want to do it for themselves. They don't want to do it for the man anymore. They don't, they want to support their family, but they go to work when they want, which is probably 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and probably working through the night till 12 in the morning. So it's very interesting. So yeah, freedom is not necessarily like vacations and yachts and I'm on a boat. I'm not going to finish that, but it's more about freedom to just not have to do a 9-to-5 thing anymore. When it comes to these guys, this is very interesting. So there's plenty of surveys out there, and we've at GoDaddy we've done a ton of surveys where we ask folks, what is the most difficult aspect of owning a business? So now you can slice this many different ways. If you look at this graph, time is one of the most critical things. It's interesting. Like profit's number 3 on this. But time and just covering multiple jobs, because when you're a small business owner, there's no HR department, there's no legal department, there's no departments, right? You are everything, you wear every hat, and there's not enough time in the day. Why this is here is because it's super important. Like one of the takeaways that if you guys are here, I really want you to understand is, they don't have enough time in the world, and they cover too many jobs, and when they do this, they barely get 5 minutes in between. And we'll talk more about that, but just remember that 5 minutes that they get. And yeah, I'm blown away by the fact that making a profit is still like number 3 on this survey. But yeah, so covering multiple roles and not enough time to do what they want to get done. So when you ask them, well, how many roles do you perform in a given day, right? A vast majority is between 3 and 6. And this is, they have to. They don't have a choice. I feel for the people that are doing 11 or more. So, I mean, I really hope I hit the home run on this presentation because those people super need help. But I mean, that's a reality. They want freedom, they're in control, they have all this that they wanted, but they're working like crazy, they're doing multiple jobs, and they don't have all this support from different departments and resources. So keep in mind, 5 minutes, multiple roles, that's all they have. So when we take all this and you combine it into like a persona, right? So let's talk about a persona, Natalie, right? Natalie, at GoDaddy, we call all very small business owners, right? The micro small business owners, we call them go-getters at the end of the day because there's no other way to define them, right? Nobody is prodding them to go do it. They do it for themselves, right? They basically go and get it. So when you talk about Natalie, right? So Natalie is somebody, she was a former nurse. She just opened her first restaurant. Again, wears many hats, works 60 to 70 hours a week, takes 5-minute breaks in between. But it's interesting because Natalie is a small business, she dreams big, but she has all those attributes. So she's confident, she's free, she's in control, and she's a perfectionist. Right, so when you think about Natalie, I mean, just keep this in mind. And this is actually, Natalie is a true story. She owns, the name has been changed, but she owns a great restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale, where I'm based out of. But yeah, think about what it takes to leave a 20-year job as a nurse, where you have pretty much everything lined up. You just go to work, you're ready for retirement, and then throw all that away and say, I'm going to start my own restaurant because you're tired of the service that you get every time you go to a Thai restaurant. So now that you have this, right, so you have the personas, you know who they are, you know how much time they have, how many jobs they cover, how do you then take that and design something for Natalie, right? Natalie is not going to use SAP. Natalie probably wants to blow her mind, or when she looks at something like, even QuickBooks, right? It's very hard for these guys. And then if you think about, she's got 5 to 10 minutes in between all the different roles. Like, how do you basically capture Natalie's attention, give her that thing that she needs to get done, but the software that you've created, or the product that you've created, or the task that you've created, and get her done, right, at the end of the day. So, what we say is that product has to adapt to Natalie's needs, not Natalie adapting to the product. A lot of times what you see is small business software is the concept of the dreaded dashboard. I don't know how many people here have created dashboards, but every time I talk to a small business owner and we have them log in and they see a dashboard, their eyes are just like, I don't know what to do. And the first thing they do is either log out, which is probably hidden anyway, so they'll just close the browser, or a client application, whatever you're creating. And that's just like a perfect example of how we create a product for these folks. We happen to think that they just want stats and reports and all these fancy Google Analytics. Like, people love Google Analytics. Marketers love Google Analytics. People don't love Google Analytics. They just want one thing. And if you talk to a lot of small businesses, they'll be the first to tell you they don't really look at reports. They just want to feel like something is working rather than actually looking at the 10, 20 different things. So if you just give them a call and say, hey, we did this, they're good. Because they didn't have to log in somewhere, they didn't have to go look at some report, they didn't have to sort through all these numbers, they didn't have to open up Excel because they had 5 minutes. So if you can think about Natalie, just think 5 minutes. So what I want to walk you guys through is at GoDaddy. Let me back up a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people that came here, they're like, why is somebody from GoDaddy giving a presentation on product design, first of all? It's okay. I asked myself that question too. So it's interesting. Like we've heard a lot, right? So we've heard a lot from our customer base, and we've heard a lot, from our internally in the company as well, that change needs to happen, right? It's not easy. It takes time. But this is exactly what we're going through. Like, we're listening to these folks, and they're telling us, like, your website is too hard to navigate. Your products are too old. Like, you need to fix these. So when we talk to Natalie, this is Natalie's voice. This is stuff that's coming out of fully transparent from our customers right now, or last year. And the product here is our website builder, right? So if you think about designing a website, getting it live, what Natalie's telling us, I mean, this is pretty specific, some of it, to our website builder product, but overall, I mean, you can see the frustration, right? You can see how hard it is for Natalie to get something done because, again, she's got 5 minutes. She's got to go to another role, another task. She's got to run her business. And some of it's, very general, like it's difficult to use. And then some it's very specific, like I want responsive grid, adaptive graphics. And that's probably not from Natalie. It's probably Natalie's friend telling her she needs that. But this is the stuff that we get from folks like Natalie. They just want it simple, we think that she wants all these fancy things. She just wants the basic stuff to work. I just want to resize my image, right? And notice on here, there's no request for a dashboard or reports or I want like all these fancy things. There's not even an ask for like, I want something where I can log into a mobile app and do all these fancy things. These guys have very basic needs. They're not the most sophisticated consumers, I want to say, but they just have very basic needs. They're not power users. So when you think about Natalie's voice, just think about this feedback relative to our product line, but very powerful in the fact that it's just simple stuff. So what GoDaddy had to do, we had to get out with the old. There was so I'll give you a product history here. Our website builder product line, which I took over last year, was almost 7 years old. Featureitis, I call it, where it's just like somebody wanted this, shove it in. Somebody wanted this, shove it on top of the thing you just shoved it in. And somebody wanted this, get a bucket, shove more shit in there and put it in. And what it basically turned into is, I don't think even built websites anymore. It's like when you logged in, oh, that's not good. Seattle Interactive. Basically what happened was it just turned into this giant monstrosity, I call it, right? And people couldn't do the most basic things because there was a task that would take 3 steps was almost 20 because we had turned it into something where the voice of the 5% was drowning out the voice of the 95%. It became too much, over-engineered. Happens, right? It happens all the time. And what we had to do was at that point say, enough is enough. This has been a great run. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to listen to our customers. We're going to ask them, what are the 3 things, 10 things that you want? We're not going to ask for 100 things. We can only do so much too. And what we came out with was a product line or a website builder where, simple things. This is not rocket science, right? Undo and redo. They just, internally we called the product V7. People wanted to call it like next generation this and, this, I call it the power Bikram yoga type thing or whatever. But, we just called it V7 internally. Again, somebody came back with, can we call it V8? I'm like, no, we're going to call it V7. Very simple things. Natalie just wanted, can I just undo what I just did? We're like, yeah, Natalie, you should be able to undo what you just did. She didn't ask for responsive themes. She just said, can you just make it work on mobile? Like, if I look at it, can it just resize itself? Like, I don't want to resize it. Like, Natalie, that's a fair ask. We should do that for you. And, she just wanted to edit her images. And we're like, hey, Natalie, how about we pull it from Facebook for you? She's like, I don't even need that. Just let me just have editing at first, and then you can pull it from anywhere else. So again, very simple things. And the setup was interesting because in the previous product line, we had about 20 steps just to activate the product. And activate the product is launch the product and actually start designing a website. And it was, I used it, and I was ready to blow my head off. So I don't know how Natalie felt about it. And then, so we promised Natalie, okay, it'll be 3 steps, less than 3 steps. Natalie loved it, and then it'll be personalized for her, right? If she's a restaurant owner, we'll personalize it for her so that by the time she's done with the 3 steps, she can publish this thing when she's done. So yeah, I mean, we talked to her, and how we got to this point was interesting. It's not illustrated in this slide, but we again, a lot of qualitative interviews. We reached out to small businesses in a few geos, a lot in obviously where I'm based out of in Scottsdale, but San Francisco, bigger cities like New York, and then also kept in mind that there's some smaller folks in smaller areas, like rural areas, because there's still small businesses that are not in metros, and we tend to forget that too. If you notice, every startup launches in San Francisco. Everybody wants to solve the food crisis that's happening in San Francisco. We did a lot of interviews. We understood from that, about 100 or so interviews, that we realized that, these folks have we started seeing patterns at that point after 25. And we took those suggestions that they had, and then, we went out and did basically a quantitative survey, which is, here's like 10 features or, 25 features. Rank them for us. And they ranked them for us. They basically did a stack rank for us, and they said, we just want these 10 things. And it's amazing, after it got to 10, it was a steep drop-off, where it wasn't even asked for it. So they're basically telling us, just want this, do the rest later. And it was, I mean, again, not rocket science. A lot of folks do this. You guys have done this. I think we just forgot what the customer voice is. And again, forgot that, the small business owner has very basic needs. And when that came back, so we did a stack rank, and they came back with 10 things. We were like, okay, this is our minimum viable product. This is what we're going to launch. This is what we're not going to launch, which is probably the most important thing. And that took a while because there's a lot of blocking and tackling. There's a lot of folks that say, oh, you got to have this. You got to have this other thing because I feel like, and as soon as I heard the word I'm like, well, you're not speaking for the small business owner anymore. So it's very important that you know what you're doing and what you're not doing for this customer. And again, no dashboard. We had a few rules that we followed. So the first rule was to build the simplest DIY tool, so do-it-yourself tool for very small businesses. And this is a very powerful statement because we had to identify, like, who are we really going after? What customer do we want to serve? Is it a DIY tool, or is it something more powerful? And then it has to be just dead simple. And then, we had a few other rules like, let's activate and publish them in less than 3 steps. And by them, I mean their websites in less than 3 steps. We wanted to make sure every screen that they looked at had a primary function, right? So it's like, what's the call to action for every page that they go on? And then everything else is secondary. If there's a green button, like that's the primary action. There shouldn't be 2 green buttons, basically. Don't be afraid to cut. So this was probably one of the most important things is that over the course of this product design, more features came in, more requests came in. Requests comes from different departments. C-level loves features. We just said no. You're not Natalie. Natalie's telling us build 10 things, not 12. But happy to get to it later. And then the last one was, if you're in real estate and all these other things, location, location, location. For us, it's publish, publish, publish. And why that's key for us, and especially in this product line, is we see that people that actually publish a website are like exponentially more keen to stay with us and not cancel the product. It makes sense because they see something tangible. They see a website about their business. They're validated. They can share that with their friends. They can post it on Facebook now. They can put it on Twitter. And they love it because it's validation. They're legitimate. They're online. They're born, right? So their name is now out there. And for us, it's key. If we don't get them to publish, we're going to lose them. And so our goal has always been, and always will be, just to get them online. Not as fast as possible, but making sure we balance quality and time. So I'm going to show you guys what the product looked like before. So if anybody have to go and throw up or something, feel free to run out. So this was our previous product, and this is actually after a redesign. This doesn't lend itself too well, but it wasn't flexible at all. So you couldn't move anything. You had to be, if you believe the client comes first, you couldn't move that thing below, right? There was no flexibility whatsoever. There was all these ribbons that were coming down. Preview and publish literally had the same real estate. It's like, are we really trying to get them to publish or exit the designer? Right? So it's, there was no clear call to action. If it's social, there's like shitload of things. If there's widgets, there was like 40 widgets or something. They weren't even ordered by use, right? So it's like, what's the most popular one? You'll figure it out. I kid you not, there was still a hit counter, and there was still a thing called a scrolling marquee. It took me a second to figure out what a scrolling marquee is. It's basically like a thing that just scrolls. And people loved it for some reason. They loved it because we didn't give them a choice. There was like the only 2-3 things that was in there. Yeah, we still had a hit counter. Yeah, it was pretty antiquated. The form builder was literally like 20 lines. If you turn on a form builder to create a contact form, it was like using Excel, and you just get 20 fields right away. Instead of just giving them name, contact, email, that's it. That's all I want to get a contact. I just want to get a phone call. The page help, instead of writing great help, there was a page help that would slide out, and it would literally say, "This is for this, but nothing more." So it was very disjointed. You could switch between pages, and the worst part about this was it was all server side. So whenever you had to do anything, it would actually talk back to the server in our data center in Phoenix. So it wasn't client-side code. It wasn't very responsive. Again, not too flexible at all when it came to designing a website. Still RSS feed. Can't believe we still had that. So yeah, this was the previous product, and where we ended up after that was a tool that, again, very simple. Instead of the top bar, we had a floating bar where it's flexible, where they can drag and drop it anywhere. They can expand it. We gave them help. So the T, if they expanded it out, it would say this is a text field. If it's an image, it would say this is an image. Drag and drop it. Notice that undo and redo's there. Natalie was happy about that because Natalie tends to make a lot of mistakes when she's typing. And publish, it's clear. This is your call to action. We want you to publish. Want you to go live. You can save. Again, if you look at it, it's decluttered. With this product, we actually cut out 50% of the features from the previous product. I think it was around 60, but ended up being around 50% of the features. You can drag drop things anywhere. It's the most flexible thing in the world because you can literally take that globe and put it way below. Everything is completely flexible in this designer. Because, A, Natalie probably isn't going to use that, but B, like if she does, like it's there, right? We wanted to have that flexibility from the get-go. So these were things that we wanted in our infrastructure, which is like, what are the fundamental building blocks of this designer? And again, just very simple things. So if you saw the previous one, there was all these options. There was all these options under it. There was like sub-options. And this bar just has a few things. It's like, I just want to put my Facebook feed on there. And this is based on customers' stack ranking saying, I want to add a text. I want to add a page. I want to add a picture. I want to share it. I want a Facebook feed. That's it. And there were a few other things, very simple. We didn't want to distract them too much. And another thing that we did was, again, we wanted to get them going. So how do you get Natalie, who doesn't know website design, doesn't know how to, she's not a web developer, she's not a web designer, that's for sure. How do you get her going in less than 3 steps when you come into something like this, and then how do I add my name, my address, my phone number, my contact form, my map, and all these things come into play. So what we did is we designed this, and internally I call the concept NAPSO, which is name, address, phone, and social. And basically what we do is we take Natalie's, we pull all the information that we already have on her, right? So we pre-populated any and everything that we know about her because she's already a customer. So what happens here, and this is great for Natalie because all she has to do is confirm that this is me. She doesn't have to type anything if she doesn't want to. If she wants to, she can connect her Twitter and Facebook profiles. And the beauty of this thing is that it automatically creates everything for her. So it will place her contact form where it should be. It'll place her phone number on the top right based on usability studies because people tend to look up there first for a phone number. It'll create a map and put it on the contact page for her. It'll pre-populate her Twitter feeds, Facebook stuff, and put it on About Us page and the home page. It'll also map her category and pull the right themes out for her. And a great part for search is that we actually take all this information and we mark it up with schema.org, rich snippets for her, and do it in the background so it's all marked up. If it's a local website, she'll get found. Right? So Natalie doesn't even want to know all this is happening, right? She just wants to know that everything is there. She doesn't want to know how you do it, why you do it. She's just happy that it's done. Again, 5 minutes. So this was our timing test where we actually walked people through this, which was, okay, you come in, this comes up, can you finish this in 5 minutes? Well, she could do it in 5 minutes, right? And the goal here was that once she clicked next, this was all set up for her. All she would have to do, and there would be a big call out saying, you're ready, publish. And it was literally 2 steps. If we had all the information on her and if she confirmed it, she connected a few things, and that was it. That was literally our job, was to get her going and make sure that she can do it in 5 minutes. So one of our rules has become, if you do anything, it has to be less than 5 minutes. What happened was we started the 5-minute rule, and 5 minutes kept adding up. So we started designing a lot of things for 5 minutes, and 5 minutes ended up being 30 minutes. So we had to go back, okay, no, the end-to-end has to be 5 minutes. So we're still holding ourselves honest on this, that people have to be able to go through and finish this. And they shouldn't have to think, right? Great book, don't make them think. And that's really our job here is 5 minutes, because they don't have more than 5 minutes. So always keep going back to lack of time, too many roles. So when you guys design something, when you think about very small businesses, think about how you can take all these friction points out. Think about all the stuff they have to fill out. Think about all the name, address, phone, or categories, or information that they have to, like if it's a financial product, can you pull that information from somewhere else? What I love about TurboTax is when I do my stock stuff, I just log into Fidelity and it pulls everything, right? There's plenty of APIs out there that you can get all this information for the small business owner. Address is a great example here. That's actually pre-populated, and if she starts typing this in, we hook up with Google and a bunch of other services that we start auto-suggesting the address for her, right? So it's just, think about all these things when you're designing products for very small business owners, because there's plenty of APIs, plenty of data out there where you can pre-populate, you can suggest. Our paradigm here was, if you think about LinkedIn endorsements, first of all, huge fan of LinkedIn, and they made endorsements frictionless, right? And it's basically suggest and confirm, just like endorsements. You suggest, like, is this you? And they just say yes, next. Just like in LinkedIn endorsements. So here's another, I'm going to warn you again, from the previous product. This was actually the control panel, we called it. No, not much control and not much panel. So here it is. I don't know about you guys, but add more features is what catches my eye right away. So this was our concept of a control panel. And as you can see, add more features and shop now is what we really push for. And design your pages, design your website, and then your tiny little website is there where you can actually see, this is me. And if you look at this, I mean, there's so many calls to action here. Like, I don't know, why would I change my domain? So we looked at all this data. We looked at how many people actually change a domain once they actually do it. It was like maybe like 1%, 1/2 of 1%. So let's put that somewhere else. Start over. That one's interesting. So that was added because the product didn't do a job well enough that we were like, instead of fixing the product, let's just put a thing where it would just let them start over, and they could start from scratch again. So we added a bunch more crutches, like hosting settings. Natalie has no idea what the hell hosting settings are. She has definitely no idea what Google Webmaster Tools are. That opened up a whole another Pandora's box. Poor Natalie, all she wanted to do was get started, and that was actually like a 20 help page article for her. Yeah, so this is what Natalie had to go through, and the new one, when we launched this, was, again, there's a little bit of information in here, but more like, this is your site, edit site, and there's some other things in there that you probably want, but the primary action is edit site. And everything else is secondary. And everything else that's secondary should be either a link, text. We try to avoid buttons as much as possible. And it's smart enough to know that once you've published, like, it'll say view live site, and if you haven't published, it'll say publish. Right? So we base it on different, where you are in the life cycle of building a website and building your online presence. It's interesting, like, backup is actually a huge feature that people want. So we added that, but we also let them know how many days it's been since they backed it up. It's funny enough, I was a huge proponent of not adding IP address, but there's one Natalie out there that wants it, and we had to add it. So I'm still fighting that one. But overall, if you compare it to the previous one, I mean, much cleaner, decluttered, defeatured, I guess, less featureitis here. And then, just trying to give her a little bit more control over exactly what she needs to do, which is just edit site. Because, again, we talked to these customers. We asked them, what do you want to do when you log back in? They're like, I just want to edit my site. So we're like, OK, well, go ahead, edit your site. And, again, we took out a bunch of stuff. And it wasn't easy, a lot of blocking and tackling, because all she wants was edit site. There's an interesting thing here. If you notice, there's no stats. So there's a lot of solutions like this where people say, like, oh, you should have stats, you should have real-time stats, like, you add Chartbeat, add Mixpanel, add all this stuff. And if you talk to Natalie, she goes like, I just, 5 minutes. I just want to make my edit, go back to work. So we're still trying to figure out how to give her that satisfaction when all she wants to do is edit site, because she hasn't even really made the ask, saying, I need to know how many customers are on my site right now, because she's probably too busy making money. So yeah, it's interesting. We haven't added that. We're still waiting to get more feedback, more asks from customers saying, I really want stats when I log in. But when I look at other solutions, just stats everywhere, and real-time stats, because I know Natalie, and she's not going to sit there and just stare at real-time stats. She won't be making money. Okay, so this is what Natalie created with the previous product. That's actually a link to a menu on PDF. So yeah, we created a website with a link to a menu, which was a PDF. This is one of my favorite restaurants if you guys are ever in Scottsdale, Arizona, a great Thai place. I've only had one dish there. It's called the crispy basil chicken. Get it very hot and extra crispy. And they have watermelon ale. Yeah, see? It's good. It's very good. So I had to help these folks. So previous product, they couldn't, again, they didn't know how to like get a menu in there. They didn't know, what good design looks like, calls to action. So this is where they are with the new product, right? Great call to action. You want to sell gift certificates? It's right there. Share bar on the left-hand side. It's floating the whole time. And this is out of the gate, right? They just basically went through that NAPSO concept, which is name, address, phone, social, and it pulls all this in. The only edits they made was add that gift certificate feature and the hours, which they edited down there. But much cleaner. They're seeing they did a campaign for gift certificates, and the uptake was almost 50% more, right, with the new website. Ultimately, much cleaner look. They're also investing, now that they have this, Natalie's actually thinking, I should get a photographer and take great pictures. I want to show off what I do. So Natalie's actually now looking at this, go like, oh, wow, this could be so much better. Before, what Natalie had, she didn't even care about the website. She didn't care about what it looked like. But now she's like, wow, this can be so much better because this speaks to me more than the other website did. This is the menu. So this is with our friends at Loku that we just acquired. You can actually just edit a menu inline in Website Builder, and this is what it looks like. So no more PDF link. It's a beautiful menu, also responsive on mobile. You can edit it whenever you want, and yeah, it's night and day compared to what we had before. So we're trying to get people out of PDFs. I'm not sure how many times you guys go to a restaurant website and then you have to look at a PDF. And it's the worst thing in the world because it's either an image or a PDF. So this is structured data. It's all marked up with schema.org as well. And again, very search engine friendly for Natalie. But she doesn't need to know this. All Natalie wants to know is that this looks good. And when she shows it to her customers and her family and friends, they're like, wow, this is awesome. You're doing a great job. And she just wants that validation, and she just wants to be legitimate. Again, vanity. They really care about vanity. So yeah, I mean, these are the things that we did, and ultimately what it came down to was just very simple things. We didn't go through and do all this, newfound fandangle thing. It's just client-side code, very simple, very lightweight. And the results out of all this, so I mean, Natalie's happy, but ultimately we have a business. We have to make money too on our side. So this is what happened. Our publish rates went up 30%, activation was up 25%, and cancellation rates are down 35%. And these are trending higher, all in the right direction. But ultimately, when you give people the right product and you take away friction, you pull data for them, you do all the work for them, do the heavy lifting. This is the result. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I was just wondering how you guys were able to sort of collect all the user feedback that went into this product redesign. Like, I found in the past that can be a real challenge, like actually getting users to give you this information.
So it's a great question, and just for the recording, I'll repeat the question, like how do you collect all this data? So I'm fortunate, right? We've got like almost 12 million customers. And initially, I mean, same problem is, in the website product line, there's about 1.4, I think. We have dedicated staff that actually now that does usability testing for us. We also outsource usability testing, recruiting, to do focus groups, and this is new for us too. We just started this late last year, mid last year, so it's not like we're really good at this. We're learning as we go, and like I said, there's still some f-ups that happen, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, there's still I've actually tested out Google surveys. I've tested out I think usertesting.com is a great solution. There's a few solutions out there that help you. I think that the toughest thing is recruiting, right? How do you find these folks? We want to make sure, like when we actually do this testing, is we define segments. So how do you segment out people that are established businesses versus just getting started? They have totally different needs, right? They're just getting started. They're like, just, I need it right now, I need to get going. Established ones are like, well, slow down, you know, like I have this, I want that, I want this. So just totally different needs. But like user testing is a great solution, and Google Surveys is a great solution. Google actually came out with a really neat tool where you can actually put it on the website, and it's a quick survey that pops up. Like how helpful is this website? How helpful is this page? I think it's actually feeding back something to Google, but that's just my thought on that. Next, I think somebody here had a question. Yes.
You touched earlier on the real issues, that keep business owners up at night. I wonder if you can actually talk a little bit more about that. You kind of said that they actually have to make money and not like 1, 2, 3 person stuff.
Yep. So the question is, what keeps them up at night? Yeah, it's so it's interesting. I'm not going to go into the whole healthcare debate. That's big. Those are mostly established businesses, right? So when you think about micro businesses, which is our sweet spot, right? We tend to cater really to the 1 to 5 employees. For them, it's just getting customers. It's beyond that. I think it really tails off. Because they don't have time, they don't have exposure, they don't have their brand. So it's the number one thing you can drive for these like super small guys is just customers. They want foot traffic, and if they're brick and mortar. If they're not brick and mortar, they want phone calls and emails, which they're home-based, right? And home-based breaks down 2 ways too. So it could be home-based working at the house, home-based serving somebody else at their house, right? A plumber versus somebody just doing arts and crafts. But we tend to call them leads in the industry. I hate that word. And they just want customers, and they don't want the phone to ring. How you do it, I mean, there's plenty of tactics, but that's their number one ask. When they're just getting going, they're happy to just get, again, it's that validation when you get that first customer for them. And they're excited, right? And that high will stay for a little bit, but then it tapers off because they want more customers. So yeah, it's literally getting customers, and I think there's a lot of noise which says like you have to have. There's a healthcare debate going on. There's all this like financial security. It's just getting a customer. Yes.
What do you find the difference in your users that are utilizing your builder compared to like your WordPress install kit?
That's a great question. So the question is, how do you, what is the difference between the customer base that's basically using
What are the difference in the needs of like
the needs between WordPress and our DIY tool? They're different needs. So the segment that we serve with this tool is, again, DIY, very novice, they're not sophisticated. The segment that we serve with our WordPress customer base is the web professional. The moonlighter, we call them internally. And the moonlighter is basically, if you think about how people do this, they will reach out to a family. Like I'm in tech, right? So my dad thinks I build computers, for God's sakes, right? So he'll call me, he's like, I need something done. I want you to help me build a website. And I'm like, oh, I'm too busy. Like, I don't have time right now. Horrible son, right? And then he'll like reach out to his friend, right? Hey, can you help me with this? And if that doesn't work out, then they go reach out to like a web designer or a professional. That's usually like steps that they take. But yeah, for us, the segmentation is that the DIY tool is very novice, just getting started, versus the WordPress, which is the people helping out people. They're usually not getting paid. And then there's the web professional, the web designer that's actually doing it. And now we've had some issues too, where in the past we put the wrong person in the wrong product, and we thought it was the right person in the right product, because these DIY guys, the novice guys, they don't belong in WordPress. It's very hard for them. I mean, it's hard. Like when I first started on WordPress, I'm like, this is too much. So yeah, it's a totally different segment. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys. Oh, one more, sorry. That's pretty good reflex because I was drinking all night.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in actually reaching the very small business customer, like actually letting them know that your product is the right product for them?
That's a great question. So you could always slap your brand on a NASCAR, and that really helps. If that doesn't work, you could do some really, well, Bob's done quite a few things. It's a great question. I think you start very, very local where you are. So where are you from? Let's break this down. Seattle. Okay, so I'm not familiar with Seattle, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But I mean, yeah, you really hone in on what category you want to serve, and you find these users. I mean, you can look them up on Yelp, you can look them up on the Secretary of State database, like where people are getting registered. But I wouldn't use that too much because by then they've already legitimized themselves. You need to find them before they actually like become an LLC, before they become a corporation, and there's plenty of tactics people use. It look at utility records or who's getting started where. There's plenty of meetups that you can go to. But I would say start super, super local to figure out like what you're doing is actually working with like no more than 5 to 10 customers. And if you get like 100% retention with those folks, then scale up. I mean, we do the same thing, albeit at a bigger scale, but we start small, we test, and then we go live. But a hyper local is like really where you want to start. Okay, guys, thank you very much.